I am the domineering CEO's biological father. The domineering CEO, for the sake of his innocent sweetheart, abandoned his arranged marriage partner at the wedding venue, installed his junior high school dropout brother-in-law as the company's vice president, allowed the company to go bankrupt without managing it, spending all his time chasing after his wife. As a result, the Fu family went bankrupt. As the former head of a $100 billion wealthy family, I couldn't even afford the fees for a nursing home in my old age. Unable to hold in my waist, I was slapped repeatedly by the caregiver, and ended up dying from sheer rage. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn back to the moment he was about to abandon his fiancée and elope with the delicate flower. The domineering CEO held the delicate flower's hand and arrogantly declared, "She is the only woman for me. Even if you manage to secure the position of Mrs. Fu, you still." I rushed onto the stage in one swift step, delivering a loud slap across his face. "You unfilial son, does he even realize how much his attitude today will affect his family company's stock market? I can't stand anything that harms money." The CEO's chiseled face couldn't withstand a fist as big as a sandbag. Under my pressure, the wedding proceeded smoothly. The innocent girl was dragged backstage and never had the chance to appear before everyone again throughout the entire wedding banquet. But in a moment of distraction, he went to undermine his new wife. "My heart belongs only to Bai Xian. After we're married, you must stay home obediently, take care of my parents, and don't go bullying her. If you dare make her shed a single tear, I will destroy your entire Zhou family." Should he guess why he's marrying into the Zhou family? Of course, it's because the two families are evenly matched, with overlapping development fields, and can mutually benefit and assist each other. Take advantage of the marriage alliance to bind the two families together and avoid future conflicts. I teleported in front of my daughter-in-law, swung my arm wide, and slapped him across the face. He covered his swollen, red cheek. "Dad, what exactly are you trying to do? I was about to ask you what you're doing. Zhou Ning is getting married, and she's here singing and dancing. Is that appropriate, little white flower?" "Little white flower my ass. What kind of genuine, kind-hearted person would sneak into someone else's wedding without an invitation and try to steal the groom?" My questions grew louder with each one. The little white flower hiding behind the domineering CEO couldn't help but step forward. "Uncle Fu, it's all my fault. Please don't blame President Fu. I just wanted to see him one last time and say goodbye. I even bought the plane tickets to go abroad. Yes, and I bought 2 tickets. The two of them flew directly abroad for their honeymoon, blocking everyone's contact information, leaving this mess for a retired old person like me, and my poor daughter-in-law, who didn't even get a marriage certificate and was abandoned at the wedding. Now that I've been reborn, how could I not know what kind of nonsense they're up to?" I held my daughter-in-law's hand and spoke to her earnestly. "I only recognize you as my daughter-in-law. The relationship between our two families will not change because of this unfilial son." What nonsense about the Zhou family relationship cooling off? How could years of cooperation break down over a woman? This must never happen again in this lifetime. Yet, Zhou Ning truly loved the domineering CEO. "I'm going to bully her anyway. Who told her to steal my husband?" Before the words even finished, the innocent girl also received 2 slaps. It looked symmetrical with the domineering CEO. All right, the domineering CEO laughed in extreme anger. "This is what you asked for. Secretary, cut off all financial support to the Zhou family starting today. Let's see how long she can keep up this stubbornness." So all my actions, all my words, were in vain. These lunatics. The consequence of cutting off the funds was that the company received a lawyer's letter and faced sky-high liquidated damages. In his previous life, he ran away with the innocent girl and only started all kinds of shady maneuvers after returning, but when I prevented him from eloping, he began to harm the company even earlier. Giving birth to him was worse than giving birth to a piece of roast pork. I have no face to see the Zhou family, but I cannot let the relationship between the two families deteriorate. I had someone escort Xia Baiwa out of their bridal chamber, changed the lock, and gave the only key to my daughter-in-law. I'm just an old man, and I don't understand the matters of you young people. But as a couple, quarrels in bed are resolved by morning. There's no hurdle you can't overcome. Let him stay here and keep you company for now. Once you two have talked things through, we can discuss the rest. In my past life, I ended up in such a miserable state at the nursing home, bullied by the caregivers because I couldn't afford to pay. I couldn't even control my bowels, and on top of that, I was beaten. Now that I've been reborn, I've already let go of it all. A real man takes responsibility. Whoever started the trouble should be the one to fix it. It's better for my son to win over his wife than for me to swallow my pride and try to please her parents. In the world of domineering CEO novels, love seems to triumph over everything. All my previous earnest advice couldn't compare to the appeal of the keys in this moment for my daughter-in-law. She grasped the one and only key, piously grateful to me. Don't worry, I'll handle things at home. I left their new home feeling physically and mentally refreshed. I had just arrived home and hadn't even sat down when someone came to report. The little white flower who was just dragged away is desperately trying to commit suicide. She even claims she's already carrying the domineering CEO's child. If I insist on separating them, she says she'll take my grandchild with her to the grave. In my previous life, after they eloped, they did return to the country a year later with twins. But I thought I got pregnant abroad. Who would have thought it's already in my belly now? Even after all this, she still has the nerve to say it to my face. Did she barge into the wedding banquet just to catch one last glimpse of him? I was so angry I swallowed a quick-acting heart relief pill. Have the secretary take her for a checkup quickly. At 4 weeks of pregnancy, the color ultrasound can detect 2 fetal heartbeats. It's indeed the twin grandchildren from the previous life. But what about the new house? My vision went dark again. I had to rely on heart pills to steady myself as I hurried, trembling, to the newlyweds' home. The loving scene I had expected was nowhere to be seen. Every breakable item in the new home had been smashed to pieces. The domineering CEO sat with a dark expression. While my daughter-in-law wept silently across from him, I asked in astonishment what was going on. My daughter-in-law hesitated to speak. The domineering CEO looked full of pride. I'm allergic to any woman other than by Excian, impotence, premature ejaculation. I wore a troubled expression, clutching the last shred of concern for my own son. Don't avoid the doctor out of embarrassment. Early treatment leads to early recovery. Who would proudly say such a thing out loud? It's nothing more than to cover up one's inadequacies in certain areas. I began to worry whether the twins from my previous life were actually of the Fu family's bloodline. The domineering CEO darkened his expression but didn't dare to show his displeasure toward me, only offering a dry explanation that there was nothing wrong with his health. I didn't believe him and had the secretary take him to the hospital for a checkup as well. By the way, quietly get a paternity test done. Whether the child belongs to the domineering CEO or not, let's set that aside for now. Anyway, given the current situation, if we let them continue like this, it will definitely lead to enmity rather than a marriage alliance. I looked at my daughter-in-law, who was crying in distress, recalling the tragic end of her previous life. She ultimately made an absurd yet wise decision. My dear daughter-in-law, I have a few nephews who are also outstanding men, and they are even more self-disciplined. Would you like to see if any of them catch your eye? Her daughter-in-law stopped crying. She looked at me in astonishment. Is it still hard to accept something like this? I just didn't want to follow the same path as in my past life. But it seems I was a bit too hasty. Just as I was about to give up, she spoke hesitantly. I remember his cousin studied abroad in Germany and just finished his studies recently. This time, it was my turn to fall silent. But when I thought about how the family business was ruined in the hands of the domineering CEO in my previous life, and my miserable end in my later years, I decided to go all out. Arrangements can be made. Just as I was busy making arrangements to find a new husband for my daughter-in-law, the innocent girl was making a scene at the hospital, insisting she absolutely would not have an abortion, and coincidentally ran into the domineering CEO when my secretary reported this to me. I silently took some more heart medicine. Who told her to have an abortion? I just asked you to check if she was lying. The secretary was left speechless, unable to voice her grievances. We explained, but the president and that lady wouldn't believe us. They truly were incapable of understanding human language. I deeply understand now and no longer blame the secretary. I told him to bring everyone back. My daughter-in-law has already gone for a spa treatment to prepare for the upcoming blind date. Now I am the only one left here. When the domineering CEO returned, he even breathed a sigh of relief, took the innocent girl's hand, and said solemnly, "Dad, she is already carrying my child in her womb. Please accept her as your daughter-in-law. Zhou Ning has already tactfully left, so why make things difficult for her? Once the child is born, you can enjoy your later years and dote on your grandchild. Isn't that wonderful?" Trembling, I took out a pen and a check, filled in 1 billion, signed it, and pushed it toward them. The innocent girl's eyes immediately reddened as she spoke with determination. "No matter how much money you offer me, I will never leave him. Please don't insult me with money. Take a good look first. I'm the one signing in the payee section. This money is what I demanded from them. Who said anything about giving them money? Since you're so determined to be with this woman, then resign from the company and pay back all the money I've invested in you over the years. After that, you can do whatever you want with your romance. It's none of my business. The domineering CEO was in disbelief. Dad, how did you become so obsessed with money? Since when did you start caring so much about it? I'm your own son. Are you really going to hold this against me? Yes, you are my own son. Which is why I came back to life to try and save you, instead of just stabbing you to death. But in just one day, I've been so angry that I've taken heart-saving pills 3 times. I've already come to terms with it. I can't risk my own life for an unfilial son, having been reborn with such difficulty. I can't possibly end up as miserable as in my previous life, with someone as love-struck as him continuing to steer the Fu family's business empire. The Fu family is bound to collapse sooner or later. It's better to quickly replace the person in power. He didn't sign it and directly tore up the check. Is this your way of pushing me to improve? It's a bit too cliched. For the first half of my life, I've followed your plans, always being the most outstanding among my peers, but you never cared whether I was tired or not. Only by Xian can understand and empathize with me. He slammed the table and stood up, shouting at me. In this lifetime, I will marry no one but her. Even if you threaten me with the company, I will not back down. He really went to resign from his position. Company position changes cannot be resolved with just a single statement. I have already stepped down to make way for capable individuals, and he has been running the company for several years now. Cutting off cooperation funds as if it were a joke will only end up making the company a laughingstock. If he doesn't resign voluntarily, I have no authority to exempt him from his position. Perhaps those who are favored always act without fear, and in my past life, I did indeed indulge him too much, but in this lifetime, I want to prioritize securing my own life in old age. I looked at my eldest nephew who had just returned from abroad. Do you want a wife or not? Do you want a company or not? Just say the word, and I'll deliver them to you today. My nephew didn't respond, probably thinking I'd lost my mind. As long as you're willing to marry Zhou Ning and continue the alliance between our families, I'll help you become the head of the Fu family. Uncle, you must be joking. With my cousin around, why bother trying to win me over? The company is not mine alone, nor does it belong solely to my family. A billion-dollar empire signifies countless companies under its umbrella, leading enterprises across multiple markets, and millions of job opportunities for employees. It is not merely a backdrop for their romantic affairs, to be disregarded at will. He may not be my biological son, but any reasonable person would never do something that would bring the company to ruin. I hold shares in the company. As long as he runs the business properly, the dividends alone would be enough for me to live out my remaining years in comfort. Of course, he agreed. Anyone with a brain wouldn't pass up such a golden opportunity. Except for the domineering CEO, his mind had been parasitized by a terrifying virus called love, while his nephew was gradually taking over the company and, at the same time, falling in love with Zhou Ning. He moved into Little Baihua's shabby, 40-square-meter rental apartment, claiming he wanted to make a comeback without relying on his family. By the time Zhou Ning had already shifted her affections and gone to get her marriage certificate with his nephew. The little white flower was also showing her pregnancy. During the previous prenatal checkup, it hadn't been 8 weeks yet, so a DNA test couldn't be done, so I'm not entirely sure if the twins are actually his, but the domineering CEO firmly believes they must be his children, and he's hopelessly in love with Bai Xian. Even if he had to live on husks and wild herbs, he never once thought of bowing his head to me. At most, he would occasionally send harassing messages, asking if I regretted driving away such an outstanding son. I wordlessly blocked him, and for a long time after that, I didn't hear any news from him, just like in our previous life when he ran away from the wedding and disappeared for a year. But now, I no longer worry about his safety, nor do I fret over the company's declining market value. My nephew is a promising talent, and with my support, he is gradually taking over the company. The marriage was arranged, and his relationship with Zhou Ning is gradually warming up. He looks like someone with great potential. Just when I thought the farce from my previous life had come to an end, the little white flower suffered a massive hemorrhage during childbirth. However, she had a rare panda blood type, and the blood bank didn't have enough reserves. Coincidentally, Zhou Ning shared the same blood type. The domineering CEO immediately had her taken there by force. When I arrived at the scene, I overheard the doctor saying, "Draw her blood." Even if we have to drain her completely, we must save by XIN. If by XIN doesn't make it, I'll make sure all of you pay with your lives. What era is this even? This is a society governed by law. If this gets out, regardless of whether he has already left the company, as long as he still bears the surname Fu, it will tarnish the reputation of our entire family. It might even get a lot of people invited for a tea session. A familiar feeling of heartache struck me. I swung my arm wide, strode forward, and slapped him right across the face. After slapping him so hard he hit the wall, I shielded my niece-in-law behind me. Bastard, who dares? The domineering CEO covered his face. Dad, why are you protecting her? Don't you know the one lying on the operating table is my wife, and your own grandson? I had the bodyguards drag the domineering CEO away. Causing a scene in a place like a hospital is just too embarrassing for me. Thank you all for your hard work. Please just follow the rules and procedures. As for my son, I tapped my head inside, shaking it slowly. His mind isn't quite right. When his wife had complications during childbirth, he got so frantic he started babbling nonsense. Without the niece-in-law donating blood, the twins were still born smoothly. The domineering CEO didn't think he had done anything wrong. When he brought the children to show me, he was still very proud. By Xian gave me a son and a daughter. She is the benefactor of the Fu family, and I will reward her with 10 million. I remained silent. He shoved the child into my arms again, but all my cards are frozen now. So Dad, I shoved the child back at him. Go on chasing your love. Don't try to scheme your way into my life. Don't go bothering Zhou Ning either. She's already married and has a very happy relationship with her husband. Don't bring your messy affairs to disturb her. The domineering CEO's expression stiffened. He hadn't expected me to be so heartless. After all, in our previous life, he had returned with the twins, and by Xian, I simply handed over the well-managed company to him once again. Apart from advising him not to suddenly run away in the future and reminding him that since he has started a family, he should take responsibility. I never said anything harsh. He's probably waiting for me to beg him to come back and take over the company again, to inherit the family business. I told him bluntly, from now on, the Fu family's money has nothing to do with you. During your absence, whether it was the company or the household, your cousin handled everything, including in the marriage. The domineering CEO didn't expect that this time. I actually didn't wait for him. After a long silence, he let out a mocking laugh. Dad, this joke isn't funny. Could it be that you have some illegitimate child out there? Is there anyone more outstanding than me? I could tie a dog to his position. It would do a better job than him. I know he's not in his right mind now, so there's no point in explaining. I'll just give the order to the secretary. Hire 10 tutors for him. Take turns teaching him basic legal knowledge. Don't let him out to embarrass himself until he learns to abide by the law. And those 2 children, hire 4 nannies to take care of them, and let that little white flower go along to learn. In their previous life, their love journey was chaotic and tumultuous, with one child having autism and the other being unnaturally mature. What's all this talk about genius babies? Weren't they all forced into it? The children might still have a chance to be saved. So first, separate them from these unreliable parents. No one protested my arrangement to take the child away. The domineering CEO once again flashed his signature roguish smile and said to the innocent girl with an air of confidence, I always knew our dad was tough on the outside but soft on the inside. He absolutely adores our child. When you visit the kid, make sure to call him Grandpa more often. How could he possibly keep treating you coldly? Even now, they still refuse to believe that I would ever abandon them. My nephew found out that Zhou Ning was almost forced to donate blood. So he went to the domineering CEO and beat him half to death. Theoretically speaking, their fighting skills were about the same, but my nephew brought a team of bodyguards with him. After beating the CEO until he was barely breathing, he took off his boxing gloves and threw them at him, threatening him, I don't care about the mess between you two, but if you dare set your sights on my wife again, it won't be something that can be solved with just a beating. Your wife. The domineering CEO finally realized that the situation was beyond his control. I only disappeared for a year, and she married you. Is she that desperate? He kicked out, cutting off the insult before it could be finished. The domineering CEO was directly kicked into the hospital. The tutor told me about the incident. I told them to continue with the lesson. Being hospitalized doesn't mean my brain is broken. It won't affect my tutoring progress. I'll bring some nutritional supplements to visit him. Little Bai Hua is taking care of him. Both of them looked less radiant and well-nourished than in their previous lives. "Dad, did you really hand over the company to cousin? Our family isn't short of capable people. Why should we give it to an outsider like him?" I looked at my son, who in both his past and present life had so nonchalantly fled from his marriage. Leaving this mess behind, I thought to myself. Just how shameless must he be to dare say such words? Your cousin is my nephew, we're all part of the Fu family. What's this talk of outsiders and insiders? Since you don't want to take over the company, I won't force you. Just like you once said to me, the pressure I put on you before was indeed too great. Now go ahead and pursue the freedom and love you want. He threw all the nutritional supplements I brought onto the floor. Is it just because I didn't follow your arrangement and marry Zhou Ning that you have to treat me like this? Why do you always want to control my life? Why do you keep pressuring and threatening me? If he only had minor flaws, I would wonder if there was something wrong with my parenting, but since he's this deranged, I can only suspect there's something wrong with his brain. I left the hospital room and inquired with the hospital about their medical payment situation. I found out they hadn't paid yet. They were relying on face recognition for billing. I directly informed the hospital that he was no longer a member of our Fu family. That same night, they voluntarily left the hospital because they couldn't afford the medical expenses. Once the injuries on his face had healed, he went to the company. There, he happened to see his eldest nephew being surrounded and escorted by a group of people, enjoying the treatment that was once his. He stopped them and directly confronted his nephew. "How come I didn't know that the Fu Corporation has become your private property?" His nephew didn't argue with him, only asked the security guard if the other person had a pass. "How can you let just anyone in? Throw him out." In front of many former subordinates, the domineering CEO was directly thrown out. He screamed in disbelief, demanding that his nephew return all his belongings to him. The nephew told the people around him to continue discussing work, but walked up to him, stepped on his hand, and ground it forcefully while saying disdainfully, "I truly envy you, having a father who schemes wholeheartedly for your sake. You just need to follow the path he has laid out for you, and you'll achieve success and glory. But not only do you not want it, you even despise it all, so who can you blame?" In the early days of their marriage, Zhou Ning came to deliver a meal and happened to witness this scene. Zhou Ning stood silently by his side, holding his hand, wordlessly expressing her support. The domineering CEO still refused to believe any of it. He scrambled up from the ground in a disheveled state, grabbed Zhou Ning's wrist, and demanded to know if all of this was an act, accusing them of conspiring to deceive him. She couldn't break free and looked helplessly at her nephew. Then the domineering CEO got beaten up again. Right in front of him, his nephew's wife kissed his nephew. "I must have been blind to have fallen for you before. Why would I cling to a rotten cucumber like you when I have a handsome and capable husband to choose?" After thoroughly humiliating the domineering CEO from start to finish, they left together in the executive elevator reserved for top management. The domineering CEO's belated rebellious phase suddenly came to an end. Several times, he came back to show filial piety in front of me. Although he was driven out, he had no complaints and only grew more resilient with each setback. His attitude improved 1,000-fold compared to before. In his career, he finally let go of his pride and was willing to actively participate in job interviews. After all, he was a top graduate from an Ivy League school, and before getting into a relationship, he managed the company with ease, never making any major mistakes. Even though I didn't give my approval, he still managed to secure an executive position at a branch company through the interview. After achieving success once again, he came to the headquarters to report on his work. The secretary whispered in my ear, speaking on his behalf, "After all, he is your own son. Perhaps he was under some evil influence when he did those things before. Since he has now reformed, why not give him another chance?" I didn't agree, but I didn't drive him away either. After all, he had climbed back to a high position through his own efforts. As long as he mends his ways, I won't drive him to the wall. But when I think of my past life, I still feel uneasy, so I transferred a few reliable secretaries to the branch office to keep an eye on the domineering CEO. Before long, he abused his power and hired his brother-in-law, who had just been released from prison and only had a junior high school education. But his current position isn't high either. Unlike in his previous life where he could easily make someone a vice president, now that his brother-in-law has entered the branch company, he can only be an ordinary clerk who got in through connections. But just like in his previous life, he still takes advantage of his relationship with the domineering CEO to occasionally harass female colleagues and embezzle company property. Only now, instead of casually misappropriating millions in funds. He profits from the printer by making 3 cents on every sheet. As for the female colleagues, without the title of vice president, no one paid him any attention. If he harassed them, they would directly curse at him, and in more serious cases, they would even hit him. This person in the branch office was like a toad. He was purely disgusting but didn't cross the line into illegal behavior. I had someone compile a record of his actions and deliver it to the domineering CEO. After 3 attempts, he still hadn't dealt with this person. I went directly to him with the documents. I was wondering why people kept sending me these things lately. So it was your arrangement. It was my arrangement. So what are your thoughts after reading them? He felt no shame, but rather took pride in it. He's my brother-in-law, so it's only natural for him to enjoy some privileges in the company. Besides, he's quite sensible and hasn't made any mistakes. I recalled how, in my previous life, when his brother-in-law caused trouble, he had the same attitude, but back then, it nearly cost someone their life, and the company suffered losses in the tens of millions. He didn't notice my anger and continued speaking. Besides, XIN has been giving me a hard time lately. I have to keep her brother close by to make sure she doesn't try to run away. And then, why should the company pay for your emotional issues? My hopes for him were completely dashed by cold water. Leaving the office, I immediately had someone draft the termination contract. Not only his brother-in-law, but he too can get the hell out of here. I've finally figured it out. His biggest problem isn't even being love-struck. It's his complete disregard for the law, living in the 21st century, yet the pigtail in his mind remains uncut. He is self-centered, in his view, apart from those he cares about. Everyone else should serve him without complaint. A son like that, I wouldn't dare to have. After having him fired, I contacted my nephew and asked him to organize a press conference. I publicly severed ties with him on the spot. The domineering CEO was the last person to know about this matter. When the termination letter was handed to him, he tore it up and threw it in the trash. Then the next day when I went to work, I found out that I was no longer an employee and couldn't even get into the company. Blocked outside the company gate along with him was his brother-in-law. What's going on? Didn't you promise my sister you'd arrange a good future for me? The disdainful look from his brother-in-law deeply stung him. Before he could come up with a reasonable explanation, a group of reporters who had just left the press conference surrounded him. Why has Chairman Fu disowned you? What are your thoughts on being kicked out of the family? Is there any internal reason you can disclose to us? Facing the barrage of cameras, his face turned ashen. He directly grabbed a reporter who had shoved a lens in his face and demanded to know what they meant by this. The reporter promptly showed him the unfinished news draft, along with the complete video footage from that time. In the video, I spoke with grave seriousness, stating that I would hand over the family business to my eldest nephew and sever all ties with him. The lawyer was also present, and the property had already been notarized. Meanwhile, the niece-in-law stood beside the eldest nephew, her face beaming with happiness. Everything was making one fact clear. He had truly been abandoned. He refused to believe it and tried to rush over to confront me directly, but was stopped by the bodyguard and, with my permission, was dragged back in a sorry state. Dad, are you really going to hand over the family business to my cousin? What has he done to deserve it? I'm your own son. It's not that I'm giving it to him, but that the capable should take the lead. Seeing him like this, I found it laughable. All right, I've taken care of all the things you hated for you. From now on, just live the good life you want. He cared about his pride and couldn't bring himself to say he regretted it in front of me, even though the regret in his eyes was unmistakable, and his clenched fists were bleeding. He still didn't say he regretted it. It was only when his brother-in-law came to ask for more favors that he beat him up. Then the brother-in-law complained to XIN, and the two had a big falling-out argument. It is said that the idle and lazy brother-in-law, without the support of his CEO brother-in-law, returned to his old ways and took the crooked path, only to be directly arrested and sent back to prison. Truly a cause for celebration. After the brother-in-law was imprisoned, the relationship between the two hit rock bottom again. The little white flower always wanted to escape from the domineering CEO. Saying his love made her feel suffocated, the domineering CEO, red-eyed and hands on his waist, declared that he would give her anything except her freedom. Then the little white flower said she wanted her brother back by her side. The domineering CEO really went and tried to make it happen. Then he was detained for 15 days for causing trouble. 10 people took turns tutoring him, but none could cram any legal knowledge into his head. My nephew asked me if I wanted to bail him out. I firmly refused. Since we're cutting ties, Let's make a clean break, so he doesn't hold on to any hope. My nephew let out a laugh reminiscent of old money, showering me with praise. Uncle, you truly act with swift decisiveness. Lately, many people have been whispering in my ear, saying that if you can be so ruthless to your own son, you must only be using me. Let me warn you, it would be best to just kill you and eliminate any future trouble. I laughed as well. Since I could monitor the domineering CEO's every move, how could I possibly let him slip away? Since he confessed all this to me, it means he hasn't been bewitched. He is a sensible and capable person with some skills, well suited to managing the family business. Uncle has planned everything flawlessly. With your guidance, the food group has achieved its current glory. Killing the goose that lays the golden eggs or giving up eating for fear of choking has never been my style. If there is anything I can do, please feel free to assign it to me. He reached out his hand to me. May we have a pleasant collaboration. I grasped his hand, openly acknowledging his speculation. The future is ever-changing. May we find the right path. Professional success and smooth sailing cannot erase the stain of having a troublesome son. Their greatest connection to me now is the two children I am raising. A child over 1 year old, just learning to speak, is at the most sensitive stage to emotions. By XIN has the opportunity to visit the children 4 times a month. There is always a maternity nurse by her side. At first, her behavior was relatively normal, but today, as soon as she arrived, she grabbed her son and began wailing. You're the only one mommy can rely on, baby. You must grow up strong and protect mommy as soon as possible. She sobbed as she recounted the tycoon's heartlessness and indifference, and spoke of her own hardships. I hurried over, but before I could say a word, the child began to wail hysterically. The nanny, who had been dozing off, was startled and immediately snatched the child from her arms. The child's arm, plump like lotus roots, was already marked with several noticeable pinch bruises. The maternity matron was flustered as she tried to soothe the child. I had the bodyguard subdue the delicate girl and dragged her away directly. I voiced my question from the bottom of my heart. You have hands and feet. Why don't you work hard yourself, expecting a 1-year-old to support you? What were you thinking? She said timidly yet self-righteously. They are all genius babies. Only by saying this can they understand my difficulties. Yes, they are indeed all geniuses. My brother was a hacking prodigy. At just 3 years old, he could breach company secrets. He was taken away to correct his worldview, and by the time he died, he still didn't know what became of those who took him. My sister was a dance prodigy, but she was lost in her own world. During her first public performance, she took her own life on stage, leaving behind a final, haunting performance. I had suspected the Fu family had a genetic illness, but I never once suspected that she had been subtly influencing the children since they were young. The familiar feeling of a heart attack surged through me, and I had someone rush her to the hospital. Soon, little White Flower was diagnosed with a mental illness. I arranged for her to be admitted to the best psychiatric hospital and forbade her from visiting the child again until she was cured. After the domineering CEO was released from prison and found out that little White Flower had disappeared, he rushed straight to confront me. Where exactly have you hidden by XIN? I advise you to return her to me immediately, or else, prepare to face my wrath. What kind of wrath? The worst harm he can do to me right now is to use my son's identity to run around naked and defecate in public. Other than that, I can't think of any way he could threaten me. How on earth did he have the nerve to say such a thing out loud? I didn't want to watch him keep jumping around in front of me, so I said directly, I'll take you to see her, as expected. The domineering CEO also had a mental illness. I arranged for him and the innocent girl to be neighbors, and everyone in the mental hospital was willing to play along with their act. They went, as if returning home. They were even happier than being at home. Perhaps this is what it means to put the right people in the right environment. While feeling relieved, I worked hard to raise the 2 children, strive to provide them with a comfortable, childlike environment suitable for a child's growth. Both of them are still clever, but not to the extreme extent they were in their previous lives. When the older brother was 3 years old, he had just learned to play match 3 games on the computer. The younger sister put on her ballet dress, pouted, and asked me to take beautiful photos of her. I live a good life that I never experienced in my previous life, thanks to the company's monthly dividends. When my brother turned 20, he also started an internship at the company. My eldest nephew and Zhou Ning also had children, but they all agreed that the company should be inherited by the most capable person, ensuring a fair competitive environment for all the nephews and nieces. I know they meant to say that a situation like the domineering CEO should never happen again, but out of consideration for my pride, I didn't say it outright. This has always been a thorn in my heart. I truly believe I have done nothing to let the domineering CEO down, and before he met by Xian, he was indeed the most outstanding among his peers. It was only after carving a bloody path through his peers that he earned the identity of the Fu family's decision-maker. How could he suddenly become so foolish, when his older brother had already become a company manager and went to attend his younger sister's first musical performance? He met a girl backstage who had sprained her ankle due to carelessness. Losing her chance to perform as a backup dancer, he considerately took her to the hospital, causing him to miss his sister's stage debut. Just as my heart was sinking bit by bit, thinking it was another case of an old house catching fire, repeating the same old story of his parents, he suddenly asked me, "Grandpa, what is a domineering CEO system? What is this thing?" It approached me, saying that girl is my destined one, and I must send her to the hospital. I didn't quite understand this system, but it reminded me of the absurd life of a domineering CEO. After many years, I dragged the domineering CEO out of the mental hospital and confronted him with his son, asking if he had also come into contact with this thing. He claimed he was the chosen one, and having a system was perfectly normal. If he hadn't interfered, he would have already succeeded with the help of the system, to make the Fu family the most powerful wealthy clan. Why would it be stuck in such an awkward position as it is now, looking at the Fu family, which has grown from $100 billion empire to $1 trillion powerhouse? I thought to myself, isn't this just perfect? How could someone who caused the Fu family's bankruptcy in a past life have the audacity to talk nonsense, just by relying on some dubious system of unknown origin? I trembled all over, afraid that my grandson would become the next domineering CEO, the next ungrateful wretch. If I raised my hand and looked at my palm, thinking even if I could interrupt their absurd drama. How many years did I have left to live? Why are those things still unwilling to let my family go? When I emphasized that the system had ulterior motives and was absolutely not to be trusted, my brother smiled and said, "Knowing that Grandpa and the system aren't in cahoots puts my mind at ease. I reported it to the state, and they've already extracted the system from my mind. It should be undergoing various studies now. I hope we can successfully uncover its secrets and make proper use of it. Because of this project, I can immediately secure a government job." I vaguely saw a vision from my past life. The scene before my own grave, the handsome and energetic grandson before me had become thin and pale, almost like a ghostly apparition. It seemed he hadn't communicated with anyone for a long time, and even speaking was a struggle for him. System, caught, grandpa, little sister, they're all dead. After our parents went bankrupt, they were still caught up in their cat-and-mouse games. Seemingly indifferent to everything happening around them, he finally seized the meddlesome system, but it was already too late to change anything. After paying respects to all his loved ones, he went along as well. I rushed over and hugged this grandson, weeping bitterly, while cursing the system under my breath. I comforted him, saying everything was over now. At the same time, I didn't forget the final matter. He should sincerely apologize to his sister, explain the reasons, and not let this incident damage the relationship between the siblings. The sister said that although her brother left in a hurry that day, he transferred $1 million to her, and she forgave him immediately. Excellent. This is what a true domineering CEO should do. After the system disappeared, the domineering CEO finally woke up from his illusory dream and realized the extent to which his life had been ruined. He wanted to be like an old steed in the stable, still aspiring to gallop 1,000 miles, and re-enter the company to make a fresh start. After so many years, I gave him another slap and told him to get out and properly atone for his sins, to apologize to all those he had hurt with his past actions, and not to show his face again until he had earned their forgiveness. The one he hurt the most was Zhou Ning, who later married his cousin in this life. The domineering CEO was stuck right here. And this one moment of being stuck lasted a lifetime. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. I transmigrated into the tragic novel as the devoted male lead, only to open the door and see my wife passionately embracing her first love. Suddenly, countless bullet comments floated before my eyes. The show begins. A misunderstanding starts it all. Love and hate intertwined. Next, the male lead turns and leaves, burying a thorn in his heart, then proceeds to torment the female lead relentlessly, end up losing both the person and the money, going insane. And begging for cremation when it's already too late, the male lead deserves it. I furrowed my brows tightly. A devoted male lead, a tragic love story. Why should I follow the script? Isn't it exhausting to keep guessing? Isn't freedom just better? And my wife is cheating at home, yet I'm the one who leaves. Am I sick? Or is the original author sick? The barrage exploded again at this moment. Wait, the male lead didn't leave. What is he trying to do? Holy shit, he's charging forward. Amid the barrage of stunned and speechless comments, I walked up to the perfect couple, pulled out my phone, and pointed the camera right at their faces. Come on, take a look at this married woman, all lovey-dovey with her ex-boyfriend. Are you two reminiscing about the past, or do you just think your current partners are dead? The comments instantly froze. Where's the script? Where's the screenwriter? Where's the director? Come out, this isn't right. Where's the affectionate male lead? What happened to the promised silent departure with a heart-wrenching ache? Married woman, such a crude term. Should the male lead be saying that? Holy crap, the writing style suddenly changed. This doesn't feel right. My phone lens was steadily aimed at their two shocked faces, capturing in high definition the single tear that had just welled up in the female lead's eye, as well as the classic innocent, pitiful expression on her first love. The male supporting character, Chi Chen, Yu. Don't misunderstand, the female lead, Lin Weiwei, abruptly pushed away Gu Chen, who had been holding her. Her voice trembled slightly, and her face turned pale. Gu Chen, he's just going abroad, and he might never come back. We were just saying goodbye. Gu Chen held his chest where it had been bumped, his eyes looking innocent as he spoke. Mr. Chi, what Weiwei said is true, we are completely innocent. It was just a friendly hug goodbye between friends, please don't overthink it. It would be a shame if Weiwei got hurt because of a misunderstanding. Yes, this is exactly the flavor, the classic lines of a green tea male supporting character. Come on, male lead, get angry, misunderstand, plant that seed of doubt, right, turn around and leave quickly, your back should look lonely yet restrained. I laughed, but it was a laugh of exasperation. Oh, saying goodbye, I pushed the camera forward again, almost poking Gu Chen's deliberately affectionate face. Do farewells require such a tight hug, hugging so desperately as if you can't bear to part, almost wishing to strangle each other? This farewell ritual is quite unique. It's like a tragic separation or a lover's suicide pact. What did you just say? Those who care will learn without being taught. Those who don't care can't be taught no matter what. Who are you trying to teach? Me? You? Gu Chen's face flushed red. Mr. Chi, your words are too harsh. The relationship between Weiwei and me is one of pure friendship. Pure? I sneered, as if I had just heard the biggest joke. Alright, pure. Then why were you hugging my wife so passionately, practicing your arm strength, or testing the quality of her down jacket? So pure that you don't share your worries with your lawful husband, but with an ex-boyfriend instead. Bullet comments. Pfft, what a genius excuse. Testing the quality of the down jacket. Ha, the male lead's mouth is so vicious. I love it. Pure friendship hug. The male lead's verbal skills are absolutely lethal. The female lead was just speaking her mind earlier. There's nothing wrong with that. The male lead is being too dramatic. Wait, that's not the point. Male lead, you should be struggling with inner turmoil and pain right now. Then leave in despair. Why are you still here bickering with people? If the male lead acts like this, how is he going to chase his wife into the crematorium later? Lin Weiwei was so anxious she was on the verge of tears. Chi Chen, be reasonable. There's really nothing between us. Gu Chen is leaving tomorrow. You never pay me any attention anyway. I was just venting to him. I know he's leaving tomorrow. I nodded, my tone calm. So what? Does that mean he can just hug someone else's wife today? Just because he's leaving tomorrow, he can act lawlessly and without morals today. Gu Chen straightened his back, looking as if he had suffered a great injustice. Mr. Chi, I know you're upset, but you can't slander Weiwei's innocence like this. You're only making her feel worse. If you're angry, take it out on me. Here it comes, the classic taking a bullet for the beauty. The male supporting character sacrifices himself to protect the flower. Yes, the male lead should quickly leave in despair, thinking the female lead cares more about the male supporting character. Leave and enter the heart-wrenching phase. I looked at his face, feigning righteousness, and nodded. All right, come at you then. No sooner had the words left my mouth than I threw a punch directly at Gu Chen's proud face, not giving anyone a chance to react. Bang, a solid, dull thud echoed through the air. Caught completely off guard, Gu Chen let out a sharp cry of pain, clutching his face. He staggered backward and crashed straight into a decorative vase nearby. The vase wobbled precariously before toppling over with a loud crash, shattering into 8 pieces on the floor. The world fell silent. Lin Weiwei said with shock in her eyes, "Qi Chen, have you lost your mind?" Gu Chen covered his nose, blood seeping through his fingers, his eyes teary, this time from genuine pain, staring at me with a mix of terror and disbelief. The barrage completely exploded. Holy shit. Did he just hit someone? The male lead hit someone. Physical attack, wasn't it supposed to be silently licking emotional wounds? Now it's physical trauma straight up. Oh my god. Gu Chen's nose, it's bleeding, instant battle damage makeup achieved. Where's the plot? The angsty deep love, the 800 chapters of love-hate entanglement. Author, come take your beating. This art style collapse is so bad even your own mother wouldn't recognize it. Help. The romance novel has turned into an urban action-packed thriller. The male lead actually resorted to violence. I shook my wrist, looking at Gu Chen, who was clutching his nose and curled up on the ground, completely devoid of his usual image, and said in a calm tone, "Got what you wanted." I then turned to Lin Weiwei, who was beside him, terrified and pale as a ghost, and you, saying goodbye, hugging like conjoined twins to say goodbye. Do you think I'm blind or stupid? Oh, don't get me wrong, I'm not angry, because we're getting divorced soon anyway. The barrage of comments flooded in again. Divorce, over such a small thing, that's not right. Isn't the male lead deeply in love with the female lead? The proper path should be misunderstanding, separation, then suffering and torment, and finally chasing after her to win her back. Exactly. It's because he loves her that he's in pain. Hitting her is bad enough. But talking about divorce, this male lead has completely lost it. If he truly loved her, how could he bear to divorce her? It's fake. Get lost, you scumbag. The male lead is acting like a madman now. So scary. Run, Weiwei, run. Lin Weiwei looked at me with trembling lips, tears streaming down her face, filled with disappointment. Qi Chen, how have you become like this? You weren't like this before. You're so frightening now. I never know what you're going to do next. Gu Chen, covering his bleeding nose, chimed in with a muffled voice, not forgetting to add fuel to the fire. Mr. Qi, is this your love? Just because of a hug, just because of a few heartfelt words, you act like this. It's so selfish and terrifying. You don't understand Weiwei at all. If you truly loved her, you would know what she wants, what's in her heart, instead of acting like a savage, resorting to violence and saying things that hurt her. The barrage immediately followed. Gu Chen is right. True love means understanding her. The male lead only knows how to throw money at problems. He doesn't understand the female lead's heart at all. Exactly. What the female lead wants is understanding and chemistry, not violence or money. This kind of man is too terrifying. Divorce. Get a divorce now. The female lead deserves someone better. Like Gu Chen, violent tendencies plus control freak. Case closed. Weiwei, run. I've already hit them, and I've seen the looks on their faces. It feels absolutely exhilarating. I immediately drafted a divorce agreement and threw it in front of Lin Weiwei. The bullet comments are still imagining their own fanfiction. Pretend, keep pretending, male lead. You're using so much force yet claim you're not angry. The classic scene is here, storming out and drowning sorrows in alcohol, then calling in the middle of the night, full of regret, begging for forgiveness. Yes, 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 the script may be late, but it always arrives. Waiting for the male lead to cry his eyes out, turn back, and get his face slapped. How could a deeply affectionate male lead really let go? He must be trying to provoke the female lead. Vivian, don't fall for it. I twitched the corner of my mouth, not even bothering to offer a cold smile. I tilted my head and said to Lin Weiwei, the agreement must be signed. The video I took is evidence. Otherwise, if this goes to court, you'll really be making your parents proud. I lifted my foot, stepped over the mess on the floor, and walked straight toward the entrance. The door slammed shut behind me with a loud bang, causing several motion sensor lights in the hallway to flicker on. The barrage of comments exploded once again. Ah, Zhen, is she for real? Is the male-led really going to divorce, giving her freedom? If you don't torment the female-led, how can you have the chasing your wife to the crematorium trope? Is this what I paid to see? Refund my money. I sneered at the barrage of comments. Isn't being alone just fine? I'm not the male lead. Why should I chase after my wife? Ridiculous. Early the next morning, I was in the conference room of a top-tier office building in the city center, listening to the director's report. Buzz, the phone rang. It was Su Qing, Lin Weiwei's closest friend, TSK, like a lingering ghost. The barrage of comments, like flies drawn to the scent of blood, instantly revived, crowding the corners of the screen. Su Qing. The best friend of the main wife has arrived. Here it comes, the moment of truth. The male lead is definitely going to crack. Bet 5 cents. The male lead's voice will definitely tremble when he answers the call. Trying to act calm, Weiwei's backup has arrived. The male lead is about to break character. Stop pretending to be so high and mighty. I glanced at the flashing name on the screen, skimmed through the self-absorbed comments in the live chat, and hovered my finger over the red decline button for a second. Whatever, let's see what nonsense she's going to spout this time. I raised my hand to signal the director to pause, and in the sudden silence, I swiped to answer the call and tapped the speakerphone button. Qi Chen, are you even a man? Damn it. Su Qing's sharp voice, like a needle dipped in poison, instantly pierced through the phone speaker and shattered the solemn atmosphere of the meeting room. For such a trivial misunderstanding, do you really have to make such a big fuss about divorce? Do you even know that Weiwei? Get to the point. I interrupted her machine gun-like tirade, my voice calm. I'm in a meeting, you have 30 seconds, starting now. The other end was clearly caught off guard, the aggressive momentum faltering for a moment. Su Qing caught her breath, her volume lowering slightly, but the venom in her tone intensified sharply. All right, let me tell you. Weiwei is almost driven crazy by you. Can't you see how much she's done for you? When you were hospitalized with stomach problems, she stayed by your side every day, to make you a bowl of nourishing stomach soup. She burned a huge blister on her hand. She was afraid you'd worry, so she endured the pain and never told you. Do you even know any of this? Qi Chen, is your heart made of stone? She finished her outburst in one breath, with a hint of triumph at having exposed the truth. The bullet comments reached their peak at just the right moment. Woo, Weiwei is so heartbreaking. Silent devotion. True love speaks without words. You blind and deaf male lead. See this? This is what love is. Male lead. Take notes. The male lead must be stunned. Feel guilty. Blame yourself. Hurry back and kneel to apologize. I smiled and asked clearly. Oh, got burned while making soup. Yes, it's all red and swollen. It hurt for days. Su Qing immediately chimed in, as if she had caught her in a lie. What about your mouth? I asked, my tone laced with pure confusion, as if discussing a technical malfunction. Is her mouth just for show, or was it glued shut at the time? Su Qing was dumbfounded. You got burned and it hurts, so why didn't you tell me? I continued, my logic chain crystal clear, afraid I'd worry. So you chose to endure the pain in silence, only to have you, the righteous messenger, inform me months later so I could feel guilty for being months late. Where's the logic in that? Is she playing some kindergarten game of, guess how much I love you, or does she think the pharmacy downstairs from my company went out of business and I can't even buy a burn ointment? Pfft. In the corner of the conference room, a young project assistant couldn't hold back, instantly covering her mouth tightly, her face turning bright red. Others' shoulders were also shaking suspiciously. On the other end of the phone, there was a deathly silence. Only the sound of Su Qing's heavy, chaotic breathing. Qi Chen, you bastard. She finally found her voice, filled with a fury born of completely shattered perceptions. True love doesn't need to be spoken. If you have a heart, you'll naturally understand. You'll feel the pain. You'll know what the other person wants. You nouveau riche types who only know how to throw money around will never understand what soul resonance means. What Weiwei wants is understanding. It's chemistry. It's a deep, bone-deep connection, not your stinking money and brutishness. She screamed until her voice was hoarse, as if defending some sacred and inviolable doctrine of love. The barrage of comments wildly flooded the screen in support. Su Qing is right. Soulmates understand each other's hearts. The male lead is too shallow. He only cares about material things. You have to feel with your heart. That's the true meaning of love. What Weiwei wants is a soulmate. You blockhead, male lead, understand. I let out a short, derisive laugh, as if I had just heard the funniest joke of the century. Su Qing, tell me, do your parents understand whether you want savory tofu pudding or sweet zongzi for lunch today? Does your boss understand that you'd rather take annual leave than work overtime? That's not the same thing at all. Su Qing was furious. How is it different? I retorted, my words sharp as a blade. We're all human. We all have needs, the difference is, in front of the boss, you know you have to speak up directly about what you want. Not making a demand is like giving up your rights, so why is it that in love, you expect the other person to become a fortune teller? Reading your mind and guessing your thoughts from afar, I paused for a moment, my voice turning cold, as if tempered with ice. I am her husband, not the worm in her belly, and certainly not a fortune teller. She wants understanding, fine, she wants, that's fine too, but the prerequisite is that she has to open her mouth and clearly, plainly express her thoughts, feelings, and needs like a normal person. Keeping them locked inside and expecting others to naturally understand, that's not deep affection, that's a sickness, and it needs to be treated. You call this soul resonance, I just see it as a communication barrier, inefficient, a pure waste of time and life. I leaned forward slightly, speaking into the phone receiver, word by word, with absolute clarity. Also, pass this on to Lin Weiwei for me. As adults, we are responsible for our own choices. If she chooses to play the mute and engage in guessing games, then she must bear the consequences when others can't figure her out. I'm not her father. I have no obligation to indulge her in this kind of self-pitying, melodramatic act that torments others. Understood. Slap. He hung up the phone directly, clean and decisive. The world was quiet once again. The barrage instantly froze solid. CPU burned out. Unable to parse the male lead's logic. So, after all that guessing, it was wrong. This marriage is definitely ending. Holy crap. At the end of the conference table, the director in a suit took a deep breath, trying to keep his voice steady and professional. Mr. Chi, let's continue. We were just discussing the abnormal fluctuations in user growth rate in the Philippine market during Q3. Yeah, I raised my hand to signal for the presentation to continue, my eyes scanning the fluctuating data line on the screen. Surprisingly, my mood was quite good. Now this is what I call efficiency. Guess what? Whoever enjoys playing games can go ahead and play. I'll just focus on my own success. Isn't making money more appealing? In the following days, Lin Weiwei should accompany that Gu Chen for treatment. I, on the other hand, had peace and quiet, with a clear mind and few desires. I felt refreshed and invigorated. A few persistent bullet comments occasionally drifted by. It's been 3 days. Has the male lead really not looked for Weiwei even once? Fake. It's definitely fake. He's just secretly observing, waiting for the male lead to cave and apologize first. What happened to the devoted male lead persona? Completely shattered. Bet a spicy stick. Today's the day I'll break my vow. Break my vow. I can barely even remember what Lin Weiwei looks like anymore. Until that afternoon, just as I was leaving the company's underground parking lot, I saw Lin Weiwei standing in front of me, looking utterly exhausted. The barrage instantly peaked. Holy shit, Vivi, the main wife has personally arrived. The chase to the crematorium arc officially begins. Everyone rise. Hurry up and get out of the car. Male lead. Hurry up and feel sorry for her. Her eyes are already red, Lin Weiwei said with a hint of grievance in her eyes. Chi Chen, let's talk. I rolled down the car window, rested my arm on the window frame, but didn't get out of the car. What are we talking about? My tone was flat. Her fingers unconsciously tightened around the strap of her limited edition bag, her knuckles turning white, just because of that hug the other day. Her voice trembled slightly. Chi Chen, how can you just erase all the feelings we've shared over so many years with a single word about divorce? I don't believe it. I don't believe you can bear to do it. You're just angry right now, aren't you? You just want to force me to bow my head and admit I was wrong. As she spoke, she grew more and more agitated, her chest heaving, her eyes perfectly reddening at the rims. Tears gathered in the corners of her eyes, on the verge of falling but not quite. A classic portrayal of a tragic female lead. The barrage went crazy. Yes, male lead. Just admit it. You did it on purpose. My heart aches for Weiwei. She even took the initiative to come. Male lead. Just take the win and stop pushing it. It's just a hug. Is it really that big of a deal? The male lead is so petty. Woo, she's crying. Is the male lead a block of wood? Why isn't he comforting her? Where's the devoted male lead? Hurry up and show yourself. Your female lead is waiting for you, looking at her expression that seemed to say, I'm upset but I won't say it. The whole world should just understand. I suddenly found it a bit amusing. I slowly took out my phone, unlocked it, opened the photo album, found that high definition and censored video, and turned the screen toward her. In the picture, she and Gu Chen were clinging to each other as if they couldn't bear to part. Gu Chen's face was almost buried in the crook of her neck, while she had her eyes closed, a single tear glistening under the camera's lens. See it clearly now. I shook my phone. Had enough hugging, if not. Should I contact Gu Chen for you and have him rush over from the hospital, or better yet, I can help you two book a deluxe double package at the funeral home so you can hug and reminisce all the way into the urn. No one will disturb you, guaranteed pure and uninterrupted. Lin Weiwei's face instantly drained of color, turning deathly pale, even more so than before. She took a sharp step back, as if the phone screen had burned her. The corners of her mouth twitched uncontrollably. Her voice trembling with humiliation. Qi Chen, do you have to humiliate me like this? We clearly love each other. We love. I interrupted her with a scoff. Lin Weiwei, tell me, what is love? Is love pretending to be mute, keeping quiet about a burn and waiting for someone to guess? Is love clinging to your ex-boyfriend and expecting your current partner to automatically assume it's a pure farewell? Is love a guessing game where I don't speak, but you have to understand? I leaned forward slightly, my gaze like a cold blade scraping across her pale face through the car window. What you have isn't love. It's self-indulgence mixed with causing trouble for others. Real love is about honesty, communication, telling you when I'm hurt, and speaking up about what I need. It's not about you bottling things up to play the tragic saint. And it's definitely not about you hugging and cuddling with your ex to test my understanding, playing guessing games. I curled my lips in a mocking smile. Guess whether I want to hear your nonsense right now. Guess whether my next move is to reverse and leave, or call security. Lin Weiwei was stunned by my rapid-fire questioning, her lips trembling as tears finally rolled down in large drops, playing hard to get, her body shaking. She looked at me with suspicion in her eyes and asked, Qi Chen, you did this on purpose, using divorce to pressure me, to force me to admit my mistakes, to make me yield. You never actually intended to divorce, you're just playing games. The barrage of comments peaked the moment she screamed, yes, 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 playing hard to get. Hero, admit it already. I knew it. He can't bear to let Weiwei go. The deep-feeling male leads tactics. Weiwei, don't fall for it, but don't really leave either. Hurry and hug her. Male lead. It's time to turn up the heat in the crematorium. Watching her hysterical state, I suddenly felt utterly bored. There's nothing to say to someone who lives in their own script. I took back my phone and lightly pressed the button on the car key. Dee, the crisp sound of locking the car echoed through the underground parking garage. I didn't even glance at her again, my gaze calm and fixed straight ahead. Zone, I set you free to soar, to find the one who resonates with your soul, to find the one who naturally understands you. Understand. After saying that, he shifted gears and reversed the car. The movements were fluid, without hesitation. The black car smoothly reversed, deftly maneuvered around Lin Weiwei, merged into the flow of traffic in the garage, and vanished from her sight in an instant. He really left, reversing, didn't even glance at her. The sound of locking the car. Is this the final answer? Playing hard to get, playing all the way to outer space. Holy shit, this crematorium. Straight up scattered the ashes, chasing after his aura, chasing after nothing. The male lead didn't even leave her an urn. The divorce papers had been lying around for 3 months. Lin Weiwei finally signed them. I made an appointment to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau today. I arrived right on time. As soon as I parked the car, the bullet comments couldn't wait to pop up. Here we go, the final chapter. The crematorium turns into a graveyard. The male lead must be haggard. He's just putting on a brave face. Vivi, don't soften. Long live freedom. The three of them stood at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau, looking as if they were posing for a magazine cover. Lin Weiwei wore a simple white dress, the hem fluttering in the wind. Her head was bowed, the curve of her profile tinged with sorrow. Gu Chen stood next to her, dressed in light-colored casual clothes, thoughtfully holding her bag in his hand. Su Qing was the most eye-catching, clutching a rolled-up red cloth tube. Her face flushed with the excitement of, I'm going to make a big scene today. The live comments provided real-time commentary. White moonlight, battle-damaged beauty, the sense of brokenness is absolutely stunning. Gu Chen is so gentle, he's been by her side the whole time. What is Su Qing holding? A surprise. It must be a banner cursing the male lead. Well done. I got out of the car and locked the door. The commotion caught the attention of all three of them at once. Lin Weiwei looked up, her expression complicated, as if she wanted to say something but hesitated. Gu Chen immediately shifted slightly, half his shoulder shielding her in a protective stance. Su Qing, on the other hand, didn't even try to hide her disdain, rolling her eyes and turning her nose up. Chi Chen, you, Lin Weiwei had just started to speak. It's our turn, let's talk inside. I interrupted her and stepped inside. The time for nonsense is over, the registration process went quickly. The staff confirmed their intentions, signed, and stamped. The steel seal clicked onto the divorce certificate, clean and decisive, just as the staff member handed out the divorce certificate belonging to Lin Weiwei. Weiwei, congratulations, you've been reborn. Su Qing let out a sudden shout, raised her arm, and with a loud whoosh, the red cloth instantly unfurled, transforming into a huge, eye-catching banner with a bright red background and glaring white characters, warmly celebrating MS. Lin Weiwei's escape from the sea of bitterness, happy single life. The banner was held high by her, facing directly at me, as well as the curious gazes throughout the entire hall. Holy shit, a banner, Sis Su is amazing, the whole world rejoices, breaking free from the sea of suffering. Ha ha ha, so accurate, the male lead is the sea of suffering, satisfying, satisfying, satisfying. Scumbags deserve to be nailed to the pillar of shame. Quick, capture the male lead's expression. It must be twisted. Gu Chen immediately cooperated, gently pulling out a tissue and softly dabbing the corner of Lin Weiwei's eye. His voice was neither too loud nor too soft, just enough for those nearby to hear. Vivi, don't be sad, this is liberation, you're free now. Someday, someone will truly cherish you. As he spoke, his gaze drifted subtly toward me, carrying a mix of pity and the superiority of a victor. Lin Weiwei didn't respond, only lowered her head further. Her shoulders trembling slightly as if suppressing her sorrow. Paired with that banner, it was a perfect scene straight out of a drama. The fragile heroine escapes the clutches of a scumbag, with her support group warmly cheering her on. The hall was indeed filled with many probing, disdainful, and even somewhat accusatory gazes, all focused on me, as if I truly were that irredeemable, utterly despicable scoundrel. The barrage of comments had already started celebrating in advance. Check in for the iconic moment, best of the year. Does the male lead's face hurt? The devoted male lead turns into public enemy. Serves him right. Vivi, run, stay away from the abusive control freak. The staff member was also stunned, the hand holding the divorce certificate frozen midair. Looking somewhat at a loss as they watched the farce unfold, Su Qing held her head high triumphantly, like a rooster that had just won a fight, almost ready to crow at me. I looked at the glaringly red banner in her hand, then at Gu Chen's smug, I'm a warm guy and I'm proud of it, expression, and finally glanced at Lin Weiwei's, I'm so sad, I'm so wronged, but I'm so strong, profile. Suddenly, I laughed. It wasn't a bitter laugh, but one born from the sheer absurdity, ridiculousness, and hilarity of it all. Humph, my laugh sounded particularly clear in the suddenly quiet hall. I just wanted to get a divorce quietly, but you had to make such a big scene. Well then, I won't hold back. Su Qing frowned. What are you laughing at? Are you so ashamed that you've become angry? Gu Chen also kindly advised. Mr. Qi, things have come to this point. Letting go is also a form of fulfillment. Why must you? I ignored them. I walked straight to the registration window and, under the staff's puzzled gaze, pulled out a small silver USB drive from my pocket. Comrade, could you do me a favor? I handed the USB drive through the window. Plug it into your computer, play a file, and liven up this joyous occasion of escaping from suffering. The staff member looked confused, but seeing my calm expression and that I didn't seem to be causing trouble, hesitated for a moment before taking it. Chi Chen, what are you up to? Su Qing had a bad feeling and shouted loudly. Gu Chen also furrowed his brow. Mr. Qi, the divorce is already settled. Don't do anything unnecessary to upset Weiwei anymore. Lin Weiwei finally looked up, her eyes blurred with tears as she gazed at me, carrying a hint of unease and a last glimmer of hope. The barrage was on high alert. USB drive. What does the male lead want to do? A last-ditch effort? Could it be some kind of final gift? Ugh. The male lead's old tricks of being sentimental. It must be Weiwei's old things. Trying to play the emotional card. Weiwei, don't fall for it. The USB drive is inserted into the computer and recognized. The staff locates the file in the system backend and clicks to play it. The large screen hanging on the side wall of the hall suddenly flickers with a new image. It's not a photo. It's surveillance footage. The scene is very clear, showing a dimly lit corner of a cafe in the background. The timestamp indicates it was 4 months ago. precisely the period when my relationship with Lin Weiwei was rapidly deteriorating and Gu Chen was frequently bumping into her. In the frame, two people are sitting opposite each other. It was Su Qing and Gu Chen. Su Qing's face was slightly distorted on the surveillance footage, but it did nothing to diminish the venom in her expression at that moment. She jabbed her finger forcefully at the table, gritting her teeth as she glared at Gu Chen. Qi Chen, what does he amount to? Back when I was the one chasing after him, he wouldn't even give me a second glance, acting all high and mighty. Now that he's married Wei Wei, they're still being played like puppets in my hands. She picked up her coffee and took a large gulp, as if venting her anger. I'm telling you, Gu Chen, I'm determined to make Lin Weiwei a ruined woman. Let her taste what it's like to be despised. Who does she think she is to look down on me? What gives her the right? She grew more and more agitated as she spoke, her spittle nearly spraying onto Gu Chen's face across from her. Put in more effort, comfort Weiwei more, create more misunderstandings, make that self-righteous fool Qi Chen completely lose his mind. Once they're separated and Weiwei is heartbroken, you can swoop in. By then, both her and her family's resources will be yours, won't they? Don't forget what you promised me. That contract with my family. The camera captured Gu Chen's face. He raised the coffee cup, using the motion of drinking to cover the lower half of his face, but his exposed eyes, under the dim yellow light, gleamed with undisguised shrewdness and calculation. Only after Su Qing finished speaking did he set down the cup, his face already adorned with that trademark gentle smile, his voice clear and distinct. Don't worry, Sister Su, Weiwei trusts me completely now. That Qi Chen is arrogant and hot-tempered, just provoke him a few more times. And he won't be able to hold back. Once he pushes Weiwei away for good, it'll be my chance. As for the contract, it's a small matter. Once I take over, Weiwei, the little thing you want, Sister Su, will be just a word away, won't it? On the screen, Su Qing smiled with satisfaction, her expression twisting under the surveillance like a malevolent ghost. Thud, a soft sound. It was the bright red banner in Su Qing's hand that slipped and fell, plunging headfirst into the nearby metal trash can. The crimson cloth slid in, like a pool of congealed blood. Dead silence. In the Civil Affairs Bureau hall, the hushed whispers, the clacking of keyboards, even the sound of breathing that had been there moments before seemed to have been sucked away in an instant. Only the irrefutable evidence remained, playing on a loop across the large screen. Su Qing's venomous curses and Gu Chen's cunning schemes. Every word was like an ice pick dipped in poison, brutally piercing the ears of everyone present. Lin Weiwei stood completely frozen in place, as if struck by lightning. The last trace of grievance on her face was instantly replaced by overwhelming shock. She whipped her head around, looking in disbelief at Gu Chen beside her, then at Su Qing. Gu Chen instinctively wanted to step back, his lips trembling, but not a single word could escape them. Su Qing's face had also turned deathly pale. Bullet comments. The bullet comments have gone completely insane. The words and sentences are utterly chaotic, like garbled code invaded by a virus. Monitoring, Su Qing, worn out shoes, contract, Gu Chen, take over, seize the opportunity, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, earth-shattering revelation, I'm fucking mind blown. So, the male lead was set up, all those misunderstandings, the hugs, were all, the deeply affectionate male lead, is truly a scapegoat. My face hurts so much, am I the one being burned in the crematorium? The staff were also stunned, looking at the screen, then at the three petrified individuals outside, before finally settling their gaze on me. Filled with sympathy, I calmly reached out and took my divorce certificate, fingertips lightly flicked the smooth cover. Producing a crisp sound, my gaze swept over Lin Weiwei, who had completely broken down, Su Qing, whose face was drained of color, and Gu Chen, who wished he could find a crack in the ground to crawl into, escaping the sea of bitterness. I raised the divorce certificate in my hand, a cold curve forming at the corner of my mouth, my voice echoing clearly in the deathly silent hall. Congratulations, Lin Weiwei, you're finally free. My gaze finally settled on Gu Chen and Su Qing. With undisguised mockery, you two, soulmates, a match made in heaven, great, lock it in, keep it between yourselves, so you won't harm anyone else. After saying that, I turned and walked away. USB drive, leave it for the staff as material. Step forward, walk out of the Civil Affairs Bureau's door. The sunlight outside is just right, a bit dazzling. Behind, there is a deathly silence, and the barrage completely collapses like an avalanche, flooding the screen with garbled text, crematorium, ha. The flames are burning quite fiercely, however, what's burning are the carefully crafted scripts of certain individuals and the self-righteous faces of countless onlookers. The Civil Affairs Bureau hall fell dead silent for 3 seconds, then, a piercing, ear-splitting shriek erupted, like glass scraping harshly across a chalkboard. It was Lin Weiwei. She sprang up violently, no longer the delicate, sorrowful white moonlight, but like a maddened lioness. Her eyes bloodshot and fixed unwaveringly on Su Qing's ghostly pale face, worn-out shoes. Her voice was distorted, each word laced with venom and the excruciating pain of disbelief. "You're calling me a worn-out shoe, Su Qing. I considered you my closest sister. How dare you call me a worn-out shoe?" She didn't even wait for Su Qing to react, and Su Qing truly couldn't react, still slumped by the chair. Trembling like someone in the late stages of Parkinson's, Lin Weiwei pounced. Her 10 meticulously manicured nails became the sharpest weapons, viciously clawing at Su Qing's still somewhat presentable face. "I'll teach you to be a homewrecker. I'll teach you about contracts. I'll teach you to ruin me." Rip, tear. The sound of flesh being torn open echoed alongside Su Qing's pig-like screams. Fresh bloodstains instantly appeared on Su Qing's face, crisscrossing. She desperately tried to block with her hands, but Lin Weiwei's strength was terrifying. Fighting with a completely reckless abandon, the limited edition handbag fell to the ground, hair was pulled into a mess, and the two of them tumbled together, knocking over a nearby chair with a loud crash. The barrage was stunned into a blank silence by the sudden bloody scene. Did Vivi hit someone? Holy shit, tearing her best friend apart with bare hands. Did the battle-damaged makeup shift from the female lead to the supporting actress? The information is overwhelming. My CPU is really overheating. Beside her, Gu Chen instinctively reached out to stop the fight. "Weiwei, don't do this, let's talk this out." Slap, asterisk. A resounding slap landed hard on his face. The force was so great that it knocked the rest of his words back down his throat, and his glasses flew off, shattering on the ground. Lin Weiwei's hand, which had just struck Su Qing, hadn't even been withdrawn before she backhanded Gu Chen with the same force. She was panting heavily, her chest heaving violently, her eyes fixed on Gu Chen as if he were a disgusting piece of trash, filled with overwhelming hatred from being deceived. "Take over, Gu Chen, you fucking set me up. What do you take me for? A piece of goods to be traded, a worn-out shoe you can just take over?" "Weiwei, please let me explain." Gu Chen covered his face, his voice trembling with tears, wanting to approach but not daring to. "Explain. Explain how you teamed up with her to set a trap for me. Explain how you pretended to be devoted while secretly scheming about the contract." Lin Weiwei screamed, her voice cracking. "Get out, both of you scumbags, get out." The hall was in complete chaos. The staff stood dumbfounded, and the more timid among them shrank back in fear. The onlookers held up their phones, capturing the year's most dramatic scene with a mix of excitement and trepidation. Lin Weiwei didn't even glance back at Su Qing, who was wailing pitifully on the ground, or Gu Chen, who stood there in a daze, covering his face. Her bloodshot eyes abruptly turned toward the direction of the Civil Affairs Bureau's entrance. "There, I had just opened the car door and sat inside." Qi Chen, a cry of utter despair, filled with the desperation of someone who had nothing left to lose. Lin Weiwei, like an arrow released from a bow, burst forth with astonishing speed, dragging her disheveled white dress. She recklessly rushed out of the gate, down the steps, and threw herself straight toward the front of my car. I started the car and just shifted into drive. Bang, bang, bang. She threw herself against the driver's side door. Qi Chen, wait, listen to me. I was deceived too. I'm also a victim. I didn't know they were so vicious." She was incoherent, her voice muffled and sharp through the thick car window, her tearful screams echoing in the empty space in front of the car. The barrage of comments, after a brief freeze, now desperately clamored for attention. She's chasing after him. The crematorium makes a comeback. The male lead loves her so much, of course he'll forgive her. She's innocent, betrayed by her best friend and the male supporting character working together. So pitiful, deeply affectionate male lead. Turn back now. Reuniting after a broken relationship is right at this moment. She already said she would love you properly. Male lead, know when to stop while you're ahead. I looked at her pleading face, so clear through the glass. The engine was still running, the engine's low, steady hum was unwavering. I slowly rolled down the driver's side window, the glass slid halfway down, enough for the sound to carry clearly. Lin Weiwei seemed to have grabbed onto a lifeline, repeatedly emphasizing, "Qi Chen, did you hear me? I'll listen to you from now on, no matter what. Okay, let's get back together." Her voice was hoarse, as if she had been crying. I looked at her, my gaze calm and unruffled, as if watching an absurd play that had nothing to do with me. When her outburst had subsided a little, I finally spoke, my voice low but cutting through her sobs with unusual clarity. "Remarry." I uttered these two words softly, with a hint of mocking amusement. "And then what?" I asked, my tone as flat as if we were discussing lunch. "Shall we continue playing the game of guessing whether I'll want sweet rice dumplings or savory tofu pudding for breakfast tomorrow? Or perhaps the melodramatic act where my hand hurts but I don't say anything, and you have to figure it out yourself for it to count as love?" Lin Weiwei's plea caught in her throat, her eyes widened, mouth agape, momentarily forgetting to cry. She didn't seem to have anticipated this turn of events. Lin Weiwei, I had little patience for her performance of aphasia and got straight to the point. "Do you really think there are that many good girlfriends in real life?" I paused, watching her expression freeze abruptly, and continued to peel back that layer of hypocritical warmth, claiming to be afraid of your best friend's suffering, but then turning around and fearing she might drive a luxury car. "It's really about not being able to stand others doing well. Your dear friend Su Qing is a living example of that. As for remarrying," I curled my lips into a cold, mocking smile, "there's no need for that, in life." My gaze went over her disheveled head, looking out at the bustling street outside, the sunlight glaring. "There's not just love, but also freedom, unrestrained, without the need to solve riddles or put on an act. Isn't that wonderful?" Lin Weiwei seemed as if a bucket of ice water had been poured over her from head to toe, the color completely draining from her face, leaving only a lifeless gray stillness. Her lips trembled as she murmured, "Freedom, yes, freedom." I withdrew my gaze, letting it fall back into her vacant eyes, my words dropping like a final gavel. "And besides, the kind of love you want, I can't give it to you. Any little detail, any small matter, if I fail to guess what's on your mind, it makes you feel wronged, feel unloved. When grievances pile up, they turn into resentment. When resentment builds over time, it becomes hatred, and in the end, that hatred leads to the farce we saw today at the Civil Affairs Bureau. You call that love?" I watched as her pupils suddenly contracted, and her body began to tremble uncontrollably, having something to say but keeping it inside, expecting others to naturally understand, guessing back and forth, for a whole lifetime. I let out a soft, derisive laugh, the sound devoid of anger, only utter weariness. "Don't you find it annoying?" After uttering those 3 words, I didn't look at her expression, which instantly crumbled apart. Fingers pressed the window control button. Buzz, the car window glass rose relentlessly, completely shutting her hand out, shifted into drive, D gear. Steering wheel turned slightly, gently pressed the accelerator. The black car smoothly glided out and merged into the traffic. In the rearview mirror, Lin Weiwei, as if all her bones had been pulled out, could no longer hold herself up and collapsed limply onto the cold cement ground in front of the Civil Affairs Bureau. The white dress was covered in dust, like a discarded doll. Her figure grew smaller and smaller in the rearview mirror, eventually turning into a blurry dot until it was no longer visible. The barrage of comments was like being thrown into the vacuum of space. All the noise, arguments, expectations, and schadenfreude, everything. After a brief, chaotic flood of garbled text, "Remarriage," the male lead said, "Freedom, can't give her the love she wants. Does grievance accumulate into resentment, resentment into hatred?" The male lead, he seems, really, doesn't want her anymore. So, the devoted male lead, has completely left the stage. Riddles, how annoying, riddles. I smiled. It's over. Floor the accelerator. The wind rushes in, refreshing. Time whooshed by, 3 years. I carved down the alpine slopes on my snowboard, the cold wind scraping against my goggles like a knife. Awesome. My phone buzzed incessantly in my pocket, taking off my glove to answer the call. Assistant Xiao Chen's voice was broken up by the wind. "President Qi, Miss Lin, over there. Get to the point." I braked to a stop by the cable car station, my breath forming white puffs that instantly vanished into the chilly air. She and Gu Chen ran into each other at the mall and started fighting again. They even threw coffee at each other. It made the news. Xiao Chen's tone carried a kind of accustomed numbness, mixed with a bit of excitement from someone who enjoys watching a spectacle. "Should I send the video to your email?" "It's quite dramatic. Bullet comments drifted lazily across the corner of his vision, like electronic flies running out of battery, chattering, "Oh wow. The third time this month, the theme is coffee war. Next time, switch to ketchup." The visual effect would be way more dramatic. "Where's the male lead? The frontline reporter needs you. Go get the tea." That 50 cents the male lead will say, "Too busy, no time." The person above is thinking too small. I bet he'll say, "Let them fight to the death for all I care." I clicked my tongue in annoyance, pushing the goggles up onto my forehead to uncover my eyes. The ski resort town below looked like it was built from toy blocks, tiny and quiet. "No need to send the video, it's a waste of time," I said into the phone. "Book me a helicopter sightseeing tour in Zermatt for tomorrow morning, and an afternoon ski pass. Get the best spot available." Oh, right away." President Xi, Xiao Chen was taken aback for a moment before snapping to attention, then couldn't resist prying. "So, Miss Lin is still at the police station, looking for me," I sneered. "Has nothing to do with me. Don't tell me about such things in the future. Let them deal with their own mess." Hung up the phone, the bullet comments slowly scrolled by. As expected, he couldn't even be bothered to ask who started it. 3 years, and the male lead's heart is made of stone from the Alps, isn't it? Correction for the above. It's stone with a gold trim. Start, dive. The wind howled, filling my ears and completely blowing away all those trivial troubles down the mountain. The world was reduced to the soft rustle of the snowboard gliding over the snow and the exhilarating rush of adrenaline. Who needs romance? Isn't eating snow better than eating drama? What love and hate? What anguished passions? How could they compare to the thrill of watching your bank account grow and conquering the next snowy slope? Just as I was contemplating whether to go skiing or lounge around in the afternoon, a cold, synthesized electronic voice suddenly echoed in my mind. As clear as if someone were speaking right against my eardrum. "Beep. Detected complete breakdown of the core plot character relationship chain. The core logic of love and hate entanglement has collapsed. Plotline collapse rate, 100%. Hosts release from original plot constraints confirmed. Successful. Ultimate reward issued. System compensation island, Isle of Freedom. Property rights have been transferred through an offshore company. Coordinates, South Pacific. Detailed data transmitting. Wishing you a pleasant life. System unbinding in progress. 3, 2, 1, unbinding complete." The voice vanished, as if it had never existed. I blinked. In the lower right corner of my vision, that annoying, psoriasis-like translucent pop-up box that had been bothering me for years flickered a few times like a faulty light bulb, then went out with a soft poof. Completely gone. My vision had never felt so clear and expansive. The tablet screen lit up silently, and an encrypted email automatically popped up. Title, Freedom Island Asset Documents. Attached are aerial views of the island with its turquoise sea, white sandy beaches, and lush greenery, along with dense legal documents. Bullet comments. Oh, there are no bullet comments anymore. I curled the corner of my mouth and finished the last sip of my iced coconut drink. Love. That's a luxury in your script. Right now, I have an island. The show's over. It's a wrap. After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.